Hey everyone, so today we will be making potica. It is a Slovenian nut roll traditionally made for Easter and Christmas. And the first mention of this traditional dish was in the 16th century. That was the first time it was recorded in the first book ever printed in Slovenian language. And so there are over 40 different kinds of fillings for potica, but most popular among Slovenian natives includes walnut, tarragon, honey, bacon, and carob. Many cookbooks offer recipes on how to prepare this traditional dish, but most households make it with a recipe that's been passed down in their family from generation to generation. So that's what I'll be doing in the video. I'm using a recipe that my fiance's grandmother has had in her family that's been passed down. So it'll be a little different. And throughout history, all social classes prepared pizza when celebrating festive occasions. The filling of the cake was a symbol of the family's social status. So the wealthier families would use expensive fillings such as walnuts and cream, and the poor could only afford to fill it with herbs or lovage, which is hard bits of fat. Today, the filling is not an indicator of the class, but just more of a tradition for the families. And no important holiday is celebrated in Slovakia without the traditional pizza. So after many centuries, it still symbolizes a festive time when the whole family gathers at home.
Okay, this is a Slovenian nut bread that was traditional in the Eastern European countries. My grandparents came from Yugoslavia in the late 1800s, Anton and Francis Gornick. They came through Ellis Island and settled up in Tower, Minnesota, which is up on the Canadian border. And my mother was the 11th of 12 children, and she made this for Easter and Christmas and handed it down to her children. And so now we always make it traditionally also. So Lizzie and I are going to make it.
So here is the recipe that my fiance's grandmother has been passed down through her family that she follows to make pizza. So you have 1 cup of butter. She used 2 sticks. She's measuring out the flour. You need 3 cups of flour. She's adding the milk. You need 1 cup of milk and 2 tablespoons of salt. And then you need 3 eggs and 3 cups of flour. She's whisking the eggs, and that's what you use to make the dough. And you also add 2 packages of yeast to make the dough rise. So she is mixing it to create the dough and slowly adding in the egg. So she's slowly adding it in so that the heat does not overwhelm the flour. And then she mixes it all together. You can see that it's more dough-like now. So she mixes it until it is very doughy, and then you just let it sit for a few hours to let the dough rise. Here we are making the filling. So it is 1 jar of honey, and we're heating up the honey on the stove. Then we're adding in chopped walnuts. You need 2 cups of chopped nuts. It can be any nut. And then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And the average woman needs 45 grams of protein a day, 55 grams for men. And so this recipe contains 24 grams of protein in the 2 cups of walnuts within the whole loaf. And then with the honey, although honey is high in sugar and calories, it's still a better choice than refined sugar. While refined sugar brings little to the table in terms of nutrition, honey provides antioxidants, including phenolic acids and flavonoids. And then we also added whipped cream. We used 2 cups, and we basically just mixed it all together. And now it is ready. The dough is ready. So she's dividing it in half because we're going to make 2 loaves. And she has prepared flour on a cloth. Remember to keep a clean countertop when rolling out the dough to prevent any cross-contamination. So a clean cloth was used in this demonstration. And we're putting flour on it to roll out the dough. A wood rolling pin is used to flatten the dough, and it's important to keep flour on the pin to prevent the dough from sticking to the roller and from tearing. And it's important to use a roller to flatten the dough consistently through the whole area, the surface area of the dough, to effectively roll the dough with your hands after we add the filling. So this is a video of me I'm adding more flour so that it doesn't stick to the roller. It's a little harder than it looks. Now we are spreading the melted butter, all over the entire surface area of the dough. It takes a while, but you just cover the whole thing with the butter. It makes it cook better. Now it is time to add a filling. We had 2 cups, we had 4 cups of everything. So we added 2 cups to the whole thing per loaf. And then after you add 2 cups, you will spread it out. So that's what we're doing here. And again, like the butter, you try to cover the whole surface area of the dough. Now it is time to roll the dough. You have to be very delicate at first. And I want to mention that the dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that carbohydrates make up 45 to 65% of your total daily calories. So a 2,000 calorie per day diet translates to between 225 to 325 grams a day of carbs that you need. And this recipe gives you about 200 to 250 grams of carbs per loaf. And so a slice would give you about 13 grams of your daily carbs. So as you saw, we rolled it and then we put the dough in a greased loaf pan and we spread butter on top as well to make it brown nicely. Here's me trying the other loaf. We did all the same steps, and then I'm trying to roll it as gently as I can. Now we are putting both of them in the oven. The second one tore a little bit. You cook it at 350 for 50 minutes, and then here is the finished product. We used an electric knife to cut it because it cuts better. That's me trying it. It was delicious. I dropped some, but it was super yummy, and we shared it with our family afterwards. And again, here's the recipe to the Potica. Thank you.